Welcome back to part 2 of the bee trap out. As you can see, the work we've already done is starting to work, and what we're going to do today is the next step. We're going to put I decided to use something a little different than I've used before. Decided to use what's called a 4-flange, and that'll leave him 4 nice evenly spaced holes on the bottom of this camper in order to seal it back up again. And we're going to put a nipple on there, and the cone's going to go on the nipple. But you can see from what we've already done here that they're having a lot of trouble getting in and out of the holes, and there must be 5 pounds bees on the outside of this camper. So the next step, we're going to put the 4-flange on there, and then tomorrow morning we're going to get the hive, we're going to put it on the stand, we're going to screw the nipple in with the cone on it, and then we're in business. All of these bees that have kind of lost their home, they're going to start smelling that brood in that box, and they're going to say, hey, well, there's a hive right there. And you know, as long as the bees come into the other hive and they don't have an aggressive attitude, if you've ever seen robber bees, they're really super aggressive. As long as they come in and they're passive and they're carrying nectar and they're carrying some pollen, the bees inside the hive aren't going to fight them. So as long as they're like, hey, we need a place to live, those bees will be like, okay, you can come be a part of us as long as you're not a jerk. So all of these bees that are clustered all out here will eventually make their way into that hive. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to see us put a 4-flange on. I am going to suit up just in case they get spicy. And this little piece won't take too many minutes to get done, but the next thing you'll see is tomorrow when we get the trap out started. And by the time we get done with the next portion of this video, that will probably be the end of part 2. I brought 4 screws with me, but apparently I only brought 3 in my pocket, so I'm going to dig around in my pocket and see if I can find one more screw. But as you can see, that 4-flange fits the bottom of that camper pretty well. And if you're ever doing a trap out on a flat surface, this may be a good way to do it. We'll know by the end of this video series. But as you can see, there's already several pounds of bees trapped out, and I think this is going to go well. Fingers crossed. So we'll see you back in a little bit, and we're gonna finish this, getting this trap out set up in the morning. Let's talk a little bit about the construction of the cone. It needs to be made out of 1/8-inch hardware cloth or smaller. Regular screen wire is not stiff enough to make a good cone. It needs to be at least 18 inches long, but 24 is not too long. This one's 24. It needs to have about a 1/2-inch opening at the bottom, big enough where 2 to 3 bees can crawl out at a time, but bees can't really crawl back in that easily. The last you saw, we put the 4-flange on the bottom of the camper. I built this cone based on a 2-inch nipple, 2-inch pipe, and we'll take a close look at this trap out cone, but you'll see how the bees can get out. Now, before we started the video, I had to clean the bottom of this cone out because the dead bees, the bees will naturally just take dead bees outside of the hive and they'll drop them. So that's why you got to check this fairly often, because if this cone becomes clogged, then the bees from the inside can't get to the outside. So the trap out's working well. You can see a lot of activity going around the front of this hive. These bees, which were covering this whole thing yesterday, are now probably, a lot of them have made their way in. And so those bees are going to come in, they're going to take this hive as their new hive, And we're going to check it about every 3 days or so. I'll probably come over every day for a few days, make sure the cone is clear, and hopefully we won't find any other ways. So what we'll do is we'll look around this camper for any other bees flying in and out. They're pretty easy to see, and make sure that these bees aren't getting in back into their hive any other way. But this is going to be the basic setup, and this is going to take about 6 to 8 weeks. And if we don't find any places where they're getting out, then great. If we do, we're going to tape them over or put wire over them and keep trapping these bees out. So the next episode will be how to finish up a bee trap out, but that part won't come for a couple of months. So this is how it's going to be for the next 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to come over, we're going to make sure the cone's working, we're going to make sure the bees aren't getting back into the hive anywhere. We're going to probably feed this hive, and we probably will eventually have to put another hive body on this hive. I run all mediums, so there's 2 medium hive bodies. Once that thing gets full of bees, we'll have to put another hive body on top. This colony here was a swarm that we got this spring, and it just really hadn't taken off. Of course, we had that really terrible wet, cold May. It rained like 20 days out of May. So they are basically in one box. This box here, they kind of chimneyed up the middle, so I moved all of that down to here, and then I put fresh comb up here that is just its foundation right now. So once these bees get moved into here and all of these bees start working, this hive will fill up pretty quick. And so one thing you've got to do when you build your stand, or wherever you put your stand for your trap out, you've got to make sure that that stand's going to hold 200 to 300 pounds, because by the end of this trap out, this hive here will be at least 3, if not 4 supers high, and might even produce a smidge of honey this year. So you've got to build that stand, or whatever platform you're going to put it on, a deer stand, whatever you're going to use, you got to put it on there well enough to where it'll hold 200 to 300 pounds, or you're setting yourself up for disaster. So I think I pretty well got you explained in the trap out. I might add a little video after I edit and see if I've got anything that I missed, but this is how you do a trap out. And it's a pretty handy piece of information to know, and it's fairly high in demand. People want bees out of their house, and you can either do cutouts or trap outs. And if you're young and hungry and you want some bees, well, it's a good way to get them. Thanks for coming by H.R. Richter Farms, and God bless.